Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we continue to geek out on absolutely the most horrific piece of gun control legislation ever drafted or passed in the United States of America, and that, of course, is Oregon Ballot Measure 114. Now, we have talked in these videos here about how terrible it is, and we talked in this video right here about the new lawsuit, but I had an opportunity to geek out with one of our loyal viewers, and he and I had come to a conclusion that this might be much more sinister than we first thought. So let's spend a few minutes today and talk about how Oregon's new magazine ban is far worse than anyone realizes. Okay, so like I say, we're geeking out again today about Oregon Ballot Measure 114, in particular the magazine ban component. And I want to thank one of our loyal viewers, Gary A. Gary, you know who you are. Gary sent me a very detailed email, and he'd been geeking out doing his own analysis and kind of taking a look at the statute, reading the plain language, doing exactly the kind of stuff that we want to see all of you do here at Washington Gun Law. And he'd done some really good analysis, and so we traded some emails back and forth. Now, this apparently, according to Gary A., was a conversation that he saw on a message board or forum somewhere, so somebody else probably had come up with this, and he wanted me to point that out. But he's the one that brought it to my attention, and the more I geeked out on it with him, I was like, hey, you might be onto something here. Okay, so follow with me here for a moment. As we know, Oregon, come December 8th, 2022, has Ballot Measure 114 becoming law, and there is a new 10-round magazine capacity restriction. Now, according to this Oregon law, you can still possess these magazines that exceed more than 10 rounds so long as you owned them prior to the enactment of the law, and then as long as you basically keep them at your house or take them to a gun range if that's actually allowed, or you're using them in competition. But beyond that, okay, you really don't get to use them. And of course, many lawful, responsible firearms owners in the state of Oregon have firearms where the standard capacity magazine exceeds more than 10 rounds. Now, if you want to continue to conceal carry that firearm, can you? Yes, you can. Can you conceal carry it with the standard 15-round magazine that comes with it? No, you can't come December 8th. So let's just take a hypothetical gun owner in the state of Oregon who owns a Glock 19, one of the most commonly owned firearms in the United States. That has a standard capacity of 15 rounds. Now, come December 8th, all of you in Oregon that own a Glock 19, yeah, you can keep that 15-round magazine, and candidly, you can keep the firearm loaded with that 15-round magazine as long as you remain in your home. However, when you decide to leave your home and go out in public, you know, the one place where you're most likely to need it, you will need to replace that with a 10-round magazine. Okay, so the problem solved, right? All I need is a 15-round magazine. And then, of course, Glock obviously makes 10-round magazines, or what we call California compliant magazines, right? Yes, maybe. But you see, you have to pay very careful attention to the definition sections of Ballot Measure 114 because there is some very problematic language there. Take a look at how Oregon law, come December 8th, defines large capacity magazines. Large capacity magazine means a fixed or detachable magazine, belt, drum, feed strip, helical feeding device, or similar device, including any such device joined or coupled with another in any manner, or a kit with such parts that has an overall capacity of, or that can be readily restored, changed, or converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition, and allows a shooter to keep firing without having to pause to reload, but does not include any of the following items. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, so all I have to do is plug my magazine, right? And we know about magazine blocks, magazine plugs. We know about these California compliant magazines. However, Oregon, this is what your law says. An ammunition feeding device that has been permanently altered so that it is not capable now or in the future of accepting more than 10 rounds of ammunition. And so here's the problem with anyone who's going to go out and get a California compliant Glock 19 magazine or take a regular 15 round magazine and put a plug or put a block in there. Yes, that does limit the magazine's capacity. There's no doubt about it. But it doesn't permanently affect the magazine's capacity, because just as easy as it is to put one of those in, it is also just as easy to take it out. And Oregon's statute very clearly says it's any magazine which does hold more than 10 rounds, or any magazine which can be readily restored, changed, or converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition. So using California compliant magazines or plugging your current magazine so that you can take that firearm with you when you're on the road, in the streets, in public, doing what you need to do, protecting yourself where you need to protect you, is probably against Oregon law. And let's remember, there is a simple physics problem here, okay? The Glock 19, for example, has a 4-inch barrel and a pretty sizable handle. The reason it's a very popular firearm is it's not only easy to shoot, but it fits a lot of hands, including larger people. The handle is of such length that any magazine, any double-stacked magazine, which is going to insert into the handle portion of that firearm, is going to be long enough to at least pack 14, 15, 16 rounds of ammunition. Glock is not going to build proprietary magazines for certain states. Yes, they will plug magazines temporarily. You can do that also, but it is not cost efficient for any manufacturer. Glock, Smith & Wesson, H&K, you name any firearm manufacturer, it's not cost efficient to do this. So while Oregon residents are believing like, well, I'll just take my 15, 17, 12 round magazine, plug it so that it's only a 10 round magazine. No, I don't believe that Oregon law is going to allow you to carry that, because that can easily be reconverted back to its original capacity. Oregon, you may be in a position where, unless proprietary magazines are actually sold for your firearms, which are absolutely incapable, no matter what the modification is, of ever accepting more than 10 rounds, you may be in violation of Ballot Measure 114 starting as soon as December 8th of this year. Listen, if you got any questions about Oregon Ballot Measure 114 or anything else of what's left of your Second Amendment rights, remember, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.